Hey guys, welcome back. We have a full moon in Taurus that we're going to be talking about today for our midweek energy update. The full moon is occurring on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, 13:19 Universal Time, 9:19 a.m. Eastern Time. The exact oppositional alignment between the sun and the moon is at 13 degrees, 22 minutes of the sign of Scorpio where the sun is, the sign of Taurus where the moon is. Of course, we have our full moon phase occur each month when the moon hits the exact opposition to the sun. The sun is transiting through the sign of Scorpio right now, so whenever it happened to be that the moon hit that exact same degree in the sign of Taurus, that's our full moon, and that's happening this week on Wednesday, and we're going to be talking all about it in the report for today. Just to give you guys a brief outline of the way I'm going to structure this video before we get started, I am first going to start by going over some of what I think are the major themes that we might be feeling associated with the way all of this full moon energy is coming together. I will then list off the transits that we are working with and that are being activated as this full moon energy comes through. I'm then going to spend a few extra minutes going more in depth into one of the aspects that is happening alongside the full moon, which is an exact Mars-Uranus opposition at 0 degrees. This is a powerful transit, so I do want to go into a bit more detail about the various ways that that energy could be expressing. And then lastly, we are going to take a look at the 12 ascendants in the context of the full moon and the really primary aspect that the full moon is making, which is a trine to the south node. I'm going to tell you guys, based on your ascendant, what houses are being activated by the full moon and that trine to the south node that the full moon is making. And then we'll wrap it up. So that's my plan for the report today. We'll see if I can stick to that. And so let's get into it. I honestly do think that specifically as a result of this very powerful Mars-Uranus alignment opposition exactly at 0 degrees that is taking place on the side, but at the same time as and of our full moon in Taurus, this could bring some explosive or unexpected news or information or just like events generally. The past could definitely be relevant here as a result of the trine that the full moon is making to the south node, ruling the past, ruling karma, also ruling what needs to be released or let go of. Those could be themes coming through as well. There may be some truth coming to light with this or some old mysteries being solved. And this could change how we are viewing or thinking about a certain thing or situation, and also what we believe in the context of, whatever that might be. There is a lot of action-oriented energy that is present for our full moon, again, mostly as a result of, I think, that Mars-Uranus opposition. And I do think this could be a particularly wild lunar energy. The phrase lunacy is often linked quite closely to full moon phase energy generally, and things have a tendency of being a bit lit up when we've got a full moon going on at any point in time. Of course, the full moon is our energetic climax each month, but just because of the general state of things out there, and again, this Mars-Uranus opposition, I do think the lunacy reputation associated with full moon energy is likely to be like on full blast and full effect, like, oh, this is the reason why they call it that type of thing. Impulsive decisions to spend money or also to like get out of things or let things go could be something that we experience. But I do think that there are some good times to probably be had in this energy, feeling like money is well spent, especially in terms of maybe any type of adventure or like thrill seeking or excitement oriented something. You may also feel or find yourself caught up in a bit of nostalgia here with that South Node trine. The past may be relevant again, or you may hear from someone that you haven't heard from in a while. There is this emotional emphasis also on what we're releasing, what we're letting go of. Like letting go perhaps of, on one hand, maybe some repressed or pent up feelings could be coming up or coming out or maybe erupting out in some type of way as this energy comes through as well, but also like coming to the point of actually like the end of feeling a certain way. Like maybe there has been like some type of painful emotional situation or something that you've been struggling with emotionally or internally for a long period of time. You might find yourself just organically letting it go, or finding that for some reason it's not bothering you to the same extent as we move through, and actually after we get through this particular type of energy. But endings, release, letting go, karmic attachments that are sort of dissolving, ingrained patterns of thinking, also habits, also ways of communicating, and again, deeply held belief systems and stuff like that could also just be dissolving, coming apart, or transitioning, shifting somehow as we move through this energy. This could also have to do with how we think about or feel about, or what our beliefs are pertaining to worth, value, money, or resources, considering that this is a Taurus full moon and it's making a trine to the South Node in Virgo. There is this it is emphasizing like some type of release of an emotional attachment, maybe to some material possession or to some previously held concept, again, of worth, value, money, resources. You may find your priorities suddenly shifting, or you may suddenly recognize that something that you thought held a lot of value just doesn't seem worth it anymore. This could also be about like there's definitely an energy here also about like the give and the take being emphasized, the need to release and let go in order to grow and expand. So like along those same lines, you may come to find that like some juice that you thought was worth the squeeze all of a sudden just doesn't seem to be anymore, as you're like noticing that your priorities or your values or even like your desires in some context are shifting. The need to give in order to receive could be a dimension of this. Gains and losses could be a dimension of this. Abundance and lack could be a dimension of this. And I'm saying that because we're talking about a full moon in the sign of Taurus, which really Taurus is a lot about accumulating resources, building wealth, building abundance, building stability and security. And a South Node in Virgo is about the release of some material asset, or some type of financial loss, or like the withdrawal of resources or investments or something like that. So it's like, and with the trine, this is a cosmic facilitation. This is a supportive influence. They're working together. So it's like whatever is being built, whatever is seeking to grow, whatever we are putting creative energy into like forming or building right now is directly related to and directly tied to whatever is going out, whatever is being released, whatever is being given away or altered or changed somehow as well. What needs to end or change in order for something to expand or grow could be another way of saying this, or also what naturally must be shed or must be discarded as a part of some process of growth. This is also likely to bring up financially related issues as well, because again, we're talking about two earth signs here, the moon in the sign of Taurus, the South Node in the sign of Virgo. And not only that, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So what's happening with Venus is relevant in terms of what's going on with the full moon energy itself. And Venus right now has just concluded an opposition to Chiron, another kind of energy that represents money and finances and wealth and worth and value and stuff like that. And Venus is also still in a relative square to Jupiter, which is expanding the nature of the Venus energy, which does have to do with money, worth, value, wealth as well, and also like a whole bunch of other things. But I am just seeing the financially oriented themes standing out pretty prominently in the context of our full moon chart layout as well. So there could be some material or financial developments here. Actually, there could be, with Venus squaring Jupiter, some growth that actually comes from this, or a restructuring of systems or operations or management or patterning, generally organizing, that leads to growth, success, or positive results. The ruler of the full moon is in a square to Jupiter. We do need to be careful with taking things overboard, especially also with the split-second impulsive nature of the Mars-Uranus opposition, which we'll get to in a little bit. Jupiter squaring Venus tends to give relatively good results. Like I was saying earlier, like there are good times to be had, but we do need to be careful that we are not like being too excessive with things. I was talking about this in I think one of my videos for last week, or maybe it was my last video. But when we have Venus in a square to Jupiter, it wants to like do the most with everything. So if we can be aware of that, you know, it's not that we can't indulge in things, but just making sure that we do maintain a level of self-discipline and also think things through thoroughly before just like impulsively taking action and going all in. I do think that that is some good advice for long-term success, like moving forward, okay? But this moon could also bring a healing influence, you guys. We're talking about the moon trining the south node in Virgo. The south node in Virgo could be about like letting go or releasing some things that maybe had been leading to or contributing to or somehow involved in maybe some health issues or some mental health issues or just things not working as well as they should have or should be that perhaps we've been dealing with. There could also be healing that comes in the context of the mind-body connection as a result of the way that this energetic setup is forming. This could be assisting negative mental patterns, especially of like over analyzing things, to be released and dissolved into perhaps a greater trust in the process, really, with the North Node in the sign of Pisces. Now, mind you, the moon, as I've been referencing, is in a trine to the South Node. That actually puts the sun, who is opposed the moon, which is why we're having our full moon, puts the sun in a trine to the North Node. So the North Node is involved in, as well. The North Node is the destiny point. The North Node is the sign of Pisces. This is about surrendering to a higher power also, as part of like a lesson plan right now. So there could be a release maybe of some stress or some anxiety or some negative thought patterns, or again, like over analyzing situations that just has not been contributing to our well-being, and it may be replaced by a greater sense of trust and faith in the presence or protection of a higher power, shifting out of judgment, out of criticism, out of worry, surrendering to the like inner knowing that things are going to work out. You might find yourself coming to that point somehow as we move through this energy. It is a good time to engage the senses. This is one of the best ways that we can use this full moon energy, or that we can kind of walk through life in the world while we have this energy present, okay? Full moon in Taurus, trining the south node in Virgo, listen to good music, eat good food, and, you know, Venus also squaring Jupiter. Work with your hands or with the earth, smell beautiful or seasonal or like nostalgic or heartwarming scents, feel things with your hands, wrap yourselves in things that feel soft or luxurious or comforting. Spend time out in nature, make your environment beautiful or comfortable somehow. Work on projects with people who share your vision. Make purchases that enhance your well-being or make your life run more smooth, more efficient, or enhance your productivity somehow. Or make improvements to your diet, lifestyle, schedules, habits, and routines to promote your general well-being or just the efficiency and, again, productivity of the general day-to-day flow of your life. These are all great ways to use the full moon energy. We do want to lean into engaging the senses when we've got this big full moon happening in the sign of Taurus, the most sensual of all the 12 signs. Now, in terms of the transits that I'm pulling from as I'm going over these themes that are present, we do, as I said, have the full moon happening in a trine to the south node of the moon that is the point of karmic release, both of these in earth signs. As I just referenced, the sun in Scorpio is also in a water sign trine with the north node in Pisces. Aspect number 2, and again, I do think this is probably going to be the most powerfully felt aspect taking place alongside the full moon, although this energy is not an aspect to the moon. This is Mars at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, exactly opposite Uranus at 0 degrees of the sign of Gemini, and they're both also aspecting Pluto, so getting a power boost from the Uranian-Pluto trine and the Mars-Pluto sextile. So again, that's a powerful aspect. I do think that's going to be kind of making itself known as we move through this energy, and I'm going to get into a lot more details about that particular aspect in just a couple of minutes. I also addressed it to an extent in my last video. This energy has been present in exact form since yesterday, but I'm sure we've probably been feeling it all week. Aside from that, Jupiter in Cancer is still exactly trining Saturn retrograde in Pisces as this full moon energy hits, and Neptune and Mars are also involved in that trine if we want to, reach a little bit further distance, orb distance. They're exactly trine at 25 degrees of Cancer. Is it 25? Yeah, 25 degrees of Cancer in Pisces. But Neptune's at 29 degrees of Pisces, and Mars, of course, is at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, just out of the sign of Scorpio. So Mars and Neptune are really still involved in this water sign trine with Saturn and Jupiter as well, but the exact trine is still present between those two planets. Also, as I've already referenced, Jupiter is in a square to Venus in Libra, although there is a bit of an orb difference. Jupiter is at 25 and Venus is at 28, so we've got a 3-degree orb, but I'm still counting that one. I do still think that that is probably going to be playing a role in the unfolding of things, and Venus is within range of opposition of Chiron, and Jupiter is also still in a square to Chiron, who is currently retrograding in the sign of Aries. So those are the transits. We've got nodes being aspected by the full moon. We've got Mars and Uranus in an exact opposition being boosted by Pluto. We've got the water sign trine that we've been talking about for weeks now, but the exact trine occurring between Jupiter and Saturn, and Jupiter squaring Venus, who is the ruler of this full moon. Now let's jump into the energetic dynamic between Mars and Uranus as they are in this exact 0-degree opposition with one another. It's the fact that it's happening at 0 degrees too. 0 degrees is one of the most powerful degrees of any sign because, of course, it's the very first degree of the sign. So that is, I feel like, enhancing the combustion-oriented nature of this energy. And then it's also being fed by Pluto, okay? Almost exactly. Uranus is an almost exact trine to Pluto in Aquarius. Mars is an almost exact sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. So this is probably going to be the most powerful or powerfully felt or experienced transit of the whole bunch that we do have present for this full moon. Mars is also, of course, a personal planet, so a lot of people are going to be, I think, personally feeling and experiencing it. And as I said, it's at that very dynamic 0-degree point as well. So this is dynamism, this is combustion, this is like wild times energy. It reminds me, whenever I think, especially with Mars and Sagittarius opposite Uranus at 0 degrees of Gemini, like this gives wild, wild west vibes to me. So that could be applied amongst a whole myriad of, different circumstances or situations, or, metaphorically, literally, gosh, who knows? But the wild, wild west would be a good way of like conceptualizing the flow of energy between these two specific planets. A whole bunch of craziness, something very fast-paced, exhilarating, exciting, unconventional, unexpected, or explosive could characterize the week as well. Mars opposite Uranus is a generally explosive aspect, but listen to this. I've told you guys there's exactly pretty much one aspect that this full moon is making, and it's a trine to the south node in Virgo. Guess what the degree position of the south node in Virgo currently is in terms of its symbolism, okay? The south node is at 17 degrees of the sign of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is a volcanic explosion. And that's the aspect that the full moon is making, like, to that planet at that point. While we have Mars and Uranus in exact opposition with one another, which is a volcanic explosion. And then again, this is happening in the sign of Taurus, which is an earth sign. So I wouldn't honestly be surprised if there was some like legitimate volcanic explosions or some very powerful like earth stuff. I don't know if it's like storms or who knows, with all this water energy, like hurricanes, even like tornadoes or something like that, mudslides, who knows, but there could be some very powerful like earth-based eruptive or explosive or just generally powerful events that go on while we do have this energy present. Now, if we remove this aspect from the greater context of the full moon, in which it is also occurring right now, and just kind of focus in on what Mars opposite Uranus often brings, it is a transit that often manifests in terms of two distinct potentials. It really has two sides to it. Now, on one side of things, this energy can often make people strike out rashly against limitations, or maybe more specifically, people that they view as having held them back in some type of way, or that they have repressed anger issues with. There's not a whole lot of self-control that is often available when we've got this type of energy. Again, it is very impulsive, and outbursts can be likely, especially again when it comes to repressed anger. Now, on the other side of things, this could be the compulsion to suddenly act impulsively to escape some type of duty or obligation or circumstance that we feel as being overly imposing, or that we feel is overly burdensome in some type of a way. So, things could kind of go both of those directions, lashing out against people that we feel like have been a nuisance or blocking our whatever for whatever reason. On the other side of things, like really just wanting to cut our losses and get out of situations that maybe we feel like we just don't want to handle, don't want to deal with, or that are like unnecessarily burdensome, okay? Sometimes this transit can signify an explosive release of tension through sudden anger or outbursts, sort of as I was just referencing, maybe against someone, with Uranus being in the sign of Gemini right now. This could also be like a friend or a sibling, partners, children, even like pets, or someone very close to you. People could make you feel very restless, very irritated, very annoyed, and it can be difficult to control this blow up oriented energy. Okay, this is also severely impatient. So if you find yourself just totally not having any patience for some reason this week, even though generally you are quite a patient person and like don't usually have that type of issue, I would assess that as a symptom of this particular energetic dynamic. We only get this once every 2 years. So this is not an energy that's here every day, and it's just likely to be lighting things and people up, especially when we also have a full moon happening simultaneously, which again is the energetic climax that we have every single month. You could also experience this energy in its more projected form, where perhaps you find yourself contending with someone who makes a sudden move against you for one reason or other. This could be like unexpected attacks, definitely could be a manifestation of this energy as well. You could literally just feel like people are like legitimately working against you, especially if you have any type of perceived enemies or people that just generally give you a hard time. There could be, interference or disruptions that come about as a result of some action on their part. Unexpected ego conflicts and battles can happen in energy like this also, and sudden disruptive events that cause you to need to like totally alter your plans. That could be another thing that goes on in this energy. It is best, okay, when we're dealing with a Mars-Uranus opposition at any point in time, under any astrological conditions, while there's any chart going on, but also specifically when we have a full moon operating as well, it is best to be the initiator of creative change in your life. You can offset some of the more chaotic or disruptive tendencies of this energy by being the catalyst, being the initiator of your own process of creative change here, because really that is what this energy seeks to do. Uranus is about making changes. Mars is the self, and Mars is what we're doing. It's our behavior. It's our energy, of course, but it's the actions that we're taking. So a Mars-Uranus opposition is an excellent, excellent time to actively pursue some type of change that is improving conditions, making things better, furthering things somehow, helping to get things unblocked. If you are taking like command of yourself in a way that is promoting creative or constructive change somehow, you are probably going to have a better experience of this energy than if you are, well, doing nothing and like repressing it. That's when the more accident prone nature of this energy can come through. But oftentimes we can get caught in the tides of change without the proper vessel and kind of just feel like we're being, thrashed around, or Uranus can have its way with us. A lot of times Uranian energy, it's said to make the changes for us that we haven't been able to make for ourselves, and things can get a little bit wild, a little bit crazy. And when we're dealing with Uranus energy, oftentimes it's not till we get down the road a bit when we begin to understand, the reason why all that craziness had to go on, and that yes, we actually are in fact now in a better place. Even if maybe we would never choose to go through that again, we wouldn't change it because it has made things better for us, somehow, even if we couldn't have gotten ourselves there. So you may find that type of experience just ongoing or operating in your life as well. Again, especially if you are not being the driver of the creative change that is being just like universally called for right now, as we have this aspect coming into form for us. Now, there is a positive side, a more positive side to this energy, and that is in the context of this truly being a time when your efforts to liberate yourself from, something, maybe some unnecessary or inhibiting restriction that you've been dealing with, do start to succeed. This energy can definitely represent breakthroughs and the feeling of finally becoming free or liberated from, maybe something that you've been dealing with or seeking to escape from or break out of or overcome or transcend or wake up from, or whatever it is, for a long period of time. Things may also take off in some radically new direction. Maybe you feel like you weren't exactly prepared for, but this could really be like radically altering the course of things somehow. But if this is something that you have been consciously preparing for or working towards for some period of time, you are likely to get good results, and you could find that this is just a very good time, especially like in that regard or in your quest to relieve yourself from or liberate yourself from something. Now, we do still need to recognize though that you will probably, even if you are interfacing with this energy from this more, positive place, there are probably still going to be some fierce resistances from others that you find yourself coming up against. It's not necessarily going to be an easy time, even though you may find yourself like feeling more powerful in your ability to make it through or do whatever that thing is. But there could just be some forces that you feel are like still interfering with your process, and it may require a bit of endurance. And this is also about long-term success for our efforts. So there are definitely gains to be made here, but it is still this like slow and steady wins the race type of energy. And again, if you feel the impulse to make a change this week, this weekend, over this next couple of weeks, in this energy generally, definitely do it, because if you don't, you're probably going to find that life finds a way of making these changes whether you like them or not. The more accident-prone nature that's often associated with this transit, as I mentioned earlier, tends to occur when the energy is suppressed or repressed or just like not acknowledged. Other people are also more likely to act impulsively, carelessly, unconsciously in this energy, which can also increase the likelihood of accidents. So it's a good idea to pay some extra attention, be aware, slow down, stay grounded, be observant, make sure that you are thoroughly thinking things through before just like impulsively, spontaneously like flying, taking off into action, and channel excess energy into creative change or the full moon trine South Node Virgo energies I was talking about earlier, you know, the engaging the senses type of stuff. So that's the Mars Uranus, you guys. You may find various expressions of this energy presenting themselves as we move through the week this week. Now let's get into the sign by sign analysis of the full moon trine the South Node. I want to discuss where that trine is falling in terms of whatever your ascendant is. I'm just going to say a few words about each sign, give a very basic analysis, but it may be useful to some of you guys out there. Felt like you appreciated when I did this last week. So let's take a look at each one of the 12 ascendants and find out what houses are being activated by this full moon in Taurus trining the South Node in Virgo. We are, of course, going to start with ascendant in Aries. For you guys, the full moon is falling in your second house of Taurus. This is money, values, self-worth. The South Node in Virgo is falling into your sixth house of work, service, health, day-to-day patterns, routines, lifestyles. For you guys, this theme is going to be about releasing old work habits or self-criticism or thought patterning generally. Could also be like habits and routines and stuff to create a more stable, abundant daily rhythm, or to just make yourself healthier and create like more productive systems. Generally, you guys are making your day-to-day more efficient, which is going to benefit your overall, you know, health, well-being, and just like the various organizational systems of your life. For Taurus rising, the full moon for you guys is happening in the first house. This has to do with your identity, your appearance, and also personal power. The South Node in Virgo occurs in your fifth house of creativity, children, joy, pleasure, fun times, and like creative self-expression. The theme for you guys is going to have to do with reclaiming joy and confidence. This could also be a very creative energy for you, letting go of perfectionism, embracing your authentic personal creative self-expression. There could be something healing in those regards that comes through for you guys with this full moon. For Gemini rising, this full moon in Taurus is occurring in your 12th house. This has to do with the subconscious, rest, release, things that we're unaware of, and also like the dream state. The South Node in Virgo for you guys is in the 4th house, having to do with home, roots, family, maybe the mother. Themes of emotional closure and ancestral healing, karmic release could be coming through here as well. Finding peace in solitude, releasing inherited patterns. There could also be some very like healing dreams that come through here. Prayer, meditation are going to be things that contribute to your healing and well-being as well. And also like enhancing your spiritual connection at this point in time, you may find to be a true source of like comfort that also facilitates some process of healing. For Cancer rising, we have the full moon in Taurus occurring in your 11th house. This is like friendships, networks, associates, goals, community, hopes, wishes, dreams. South Node in Virgo in your 3rd house. This is communication, siblings, our mindset, what we're learning. For you guys, this may bring up themes of letting go of self-doubt and connecting with maybe supportive networks that align with your purpose, align with your vision, or on the like sharing a dream perhaps somehow. This could be networks of people or associations coming together to be supportive of the visions of one another somehow. This could also be for you guys releasing thought patterns or learning something new that like totally alters the way that you are thinking about things, communicating, or connecting with others somehow. This could also have to do with like siblings. There could be like old issues with siblings that are being released or that you're getting over right now for one reason or another. Also, Leo risings, the full moon in Taurus is happening in your 10th house, career, reputation, legacy. The south node in Virgo is in the 2nd house, finances, self-worth, resources. The theme for you could be career breakthroughs that are coming from releasing some type of scarcity mindset or some faulty thought patterning in the context of your ability to trust and believe in your true and authentic value, or the true and authentic value of your potential or your capabilities. This may be helping you to see your potential actually more clearly, and you could be reconfiguring your ideas about your ability to like earn money and stuff like that. Virgo rising, you guys have the full moon in Taurus occurring in the 9th house. This has to do with beliefs, philosophies, current processes of growth and expansion along all lines. Can also have to do with foreign travel. South node in Virgos in the 1st house, your identity, your like personal direction, personal self-expression. The theme for you could be releasing outdated definitions of self, distorted self-perceptions that open you actually to new experiences and do expand your worldview beyond perhaps what you had previously conceived possible for yourselves. Your perception of self could be expanding in a way that is opening you up to new possibilities. This could also be like broadening your perception of things or like expanding your understanding in such a way that really alters your identity as well. For Ascendant and Libras, you guys have the full moon in Taurus happening in your 8th house. That has to do with intimacy, shared resources, kind of like deep personal transformations, also deep intertwinements and enmeshments with others. You guys have the South node in Virgo that's happening in the 12th house, subconscious, or the subconscious mind, the unconscious, dreams, endings, karmic release. The theme for you could be deep emotional and energetic release that's going on that could in some way be clearing debts or fears or old attachments or perhaps limiting beliefs that kept us attached to things that weren't good for us. So you guys could really be coming to understand on a deeper level maybe what you've been holding on to or connected to that is just contributing more to your maybe like downfall or demise than to your growth and development. So you may be choosing to let some things go, to cut some ties, and there could be some positive growth that comes as a result of that. For Scorpio rising, you guys have the full moon in Taurus happening, of course, in your 7th house, relationships, other people, partnerships, the balance of things generally. And you guys have the South node in Virgo happening in your 11th house, friendships, networks, social patterns, and again, like hopes, wishes, dreams, visions. For you guys, karmic completion in relationships could be something that is coming with this moon, releasing perfectionistic expectations also, and finding a greater sense of balance in the context of like the self and the other, or within your relationships could be an element of this. With the South node in Virgo in the 11th house, this could also be changes that are happening in the context of your associates. Like you could find yourself distancing yourself from maybe some old friend groups or something like that as you come to understand that you have different values in relationships. Now, this could be like reorienting your relationships generally as, I don't know, there's like a shift in preferences or what you want is maybe changing somehow. For Sag rising, you guys have the full moon in Taurus happening in the 6th house, health, work, habits, routines, lifestyles, day-to-day life generally. You guys have the South node in Virgo in your 10th house, career, public reputation, achievements, your image. For you guys, Sag, realigning your work-life balance and letting go of maybe excess responsibility or things that are burning you out. This could be something you find yourself just kind of compelled to do or naturally doing in this energy. With that full moon in your 6th house, you may also make some discoveries about how you can change your daily habits, patterns, and routines to enhance your health, to heal something, to make things work better generally. And this could also be impacting like your career somehow. Like for you guys, Sagittarius, you're the most likely maybe to be going through some type of like professional or work type of changes, day-to-day life type of changes, but related to your job or your career, as we have this full moon coming through. For Capricorn rising, you guys have the full moon in Taurus happening in your 5th house. Creativity, pleasure, romance, creative self-expression. You guys have the South Node in Virgo in your 9th house. Philosophy, higher learning, a broader vision, expanding your purview of understanding of life and reality. This can also bring foreign travel. For you guys, reconnecting with joy and maybe play after what could have been some very long periods of striving for something. This could be where you're oriented. Also letting go of rigid beliefs about how to be successful, what success should look like. This could be something that is playing out for you guys. With the full moon in the 5th house, you could also find yourself really engaging creatively somehow. This could be emphasizing romance. This could also be about like athletics and sports and stuff like that. And South Node in Virgo, you could also be releasing an old philosophy or philosophical view on your life or reality that is broadening your horizons and opening up new potentials or possibilities for you somehow. For Aquarius ascendants, the full moon in Taurus happening in your 4th house, home, family, the mother, emotional roots. This South Node in Virgo is in your 8th house, shared finances, transformation, intimacy, these deep enmeshed connections. The theme for you could be healing emotional foundations, releasing fears around vulnerability and control. With the full moon in the 10th house, this could be highlighting or emphasizing things to do with the home, family, or maybe the early childhood. With the South Node in the 8th house, this could be actually being released from some type of debt or severing ties or connections with things that we have been attached to or enmeshed with that we're realizing are no longer a reflection of like who we feel ourselves to be. You guys could actually be letting go of some like old childhood wounds that have kept you boxed in or have defined you for one reason or another, but now you're kind of like shedding that skin and realizing like, oh, that's not actually who I am, that's not who I was meant to be. And again, this could be as a result of maybe like healing something pertaining to some long-standing childhood wound or childhood issue. For Pisces rising, for you guys, this full moon in Taurus is happening in the 3rd house. Communication, learning, connection, transactions, deals. This also has to do with siblings. The South Node in Virgo is in your 7th house, relationships, contracts, commitments, other people. For you guys, new ways of expressing your truth and letting go of overly analytical relationship dynamics could be something that you're working on. With the full moon in Taurus in your 3rd house, this could be like highlighting or emphasizing something that you're learning or something that you're coming to understand somehow, and the impact maybe that is having on what you want or what you're attracted to in the context of relationships or other people, or even, what you want to invest in or whether or not you want to sign that contract. So you guys could actually, Pisces might find yourself having some decisions to make about, or decisions to make or changing preferences that come about as a result maybe of whatever it is that you are learning or gaining an awareness of or insight into as this energy comes through. You guys really may be discovering something with the full moon of Taurus happening in your 3rd house. So that is how I feel about the, way that this energy, the full moon trining the South Node in the sign of Virgo, is likely to be playing out for you, depending on whatever your ascendant sign is. Now, again, that is really only one dimension of the overall nature of our total energy field right now. We, of course, also have that very powerful Mars-Uranus transit going on. We also have the Jupiter-Saturn trine. We also have the Venus-Jupiter square. So there's a lot else happening. But if we're just going to narrow in terms of the full moon in Taurus trining the South Node in Virgo and the gains and losses dimensions that are energetic dimensions that are associated with that, that is, kind of where I feel like we're at. The full moon does invite stability, grounding, and a greater embodiment of how we feel about something somehow. Remember, this is a very sensual energy. The trine to the south node is encouraging this release of perfectionism and judgment, though. It is a turning point in healing the mind-body connection, as I was talking about earlier, reconnecting with our own like physical, sensual presence in the world, and letting go of old patterns of overanalyzing as they dissolve into this expanded trust and faith in just the unfolding path ahead, which again, I do think is kind of another dimension of this, as we've got that Virgo kind of like stress, worry, anxiety energy in terms of the way we're thinking about things, maybe breaking down a bit. And we also have the Jupiter-Saturn trine, which is helping to like instill a greater sense of faith in the possibilities of the future and what we're truly capable of. I do think this is generally, though, another episode in this year's energy series about transitions, self-empowerment, leveling up, and letting go of the past. I've been talking about these overarching themes, I feel like, pretty much all of 2025, because there have been so many varying transits, all suggesting or boiling down to these same basic concepts. This energy emphasizes both gains and growth, and also release and surrender and sacrifice in order for that growth to occur. This is, of course, about changing the way that we are thinking, which, you know, I've said in so many different ways, so many times throughout this report, but I'm going to emphasize it one more time and add to it the fact that actually the sun is at 14 degrees of Scorpio in terms of this symbolic placement, while we've got our full moon lining up. That Sabian symbol is telephone lineman at work, installing new connections. So, you know, again, like I do feel like this is really about kind of letting go of old ways of thinking about things and the thought patterns associated with them. And as a result of that, kind of our entire reality shifting. We also have Venus ruling the position of this moon at 29 degrees Libra. In terms of the Sabian symbol placement, that is mankind's vast and enduring effort for knowledge transferable from generation to generation. So these themes of coming to understand something, kind of seeing the bigger picture, gaining a greater discernment in the context of truth that can carry itself forward somehow. And, you know, with the telephone lineman installing new connections, like we literally may be coming to see things entirely different and in a way that expands what's possible for us with that Jupiter Saturn trine as well, and like legitimately changes our lives. We're freeing ourselves from the limitation of old thought patterns and belief systems. We are being urged to radically redefine our self-perception and watch our entire lives change as a reflection of that as a result. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That's how I feel about what this full moon is bringing energetically, what it all means, how we may experience it, how it may manifest. I'm sorry if things got a little bit noisy there over this past, I don't know, maybe like half an hour that I've been talking now. I swear it's so funny. Like now that I'm probably going to have a lot of random annoying loud background noise go on while I'm recording, while we have this Mars Uranus energy building. I have found that tends to be how it goes. Like for whatever reason, I mean, it's a Saturday afternoon, perfectly quiet, lovely Saturday afternoon here. There hasn't really been a peep besides the birds going on outside all day. And literally, I'm in the middle of this video. I haven't gotten up to go look at what's going on outside because I've been recording this video and I haven't wanted to like disrupt myself like that. But I don't know if it's like a construction crew or whatever it is. You guys probably heard the beeping of the trucks. I tried to edit a lot of it out because it was so loud and annoying, but there was just like some type of dump truck driving around, dropping cinder blocks. I don't know what they were doing out there, but making the like absolute most crashing noise for the past like 30 minutes. So I hope that wasn't too disruptive. In fact, I hope you guys didn't notice it or hear it at all, because like I said, I am going to do my very best to cut a lot of that out. And I like tried to stop talking when the like biggest crashes came so it wouldn't be too interfering. But you know, there's just nothing I can do about it. It's one of those things that it is what it is. And I do find that, like, I swear I've noticed that when there's a Mars Uranus transit going on while I'm trying to record these videos, and this is like over years of recording videos, there just happens to be like loud machine things, trucks. Like I said today, it's like construction. I don't know what's going on next door, but there's a lot of crashing and banging and loud motorized vehicles around me. It seems to be when I've got Mars Uranus to talk about or building in the energy field. So that's a little bit of my backstory right now. If you did notice halfway through that video that things started crashing in the background, again, my apologies for that. Hope it wasn't too disruptive, but wanted to bring that to your attention. You may also find, honestly, that there's like weird stuff or just like an emphasis maybe on big machinery or vehicles or, you know, things with an engine. Also with that Pluto trine and sextile to the Mars Uranus opposition, like that brings up to me like, you know, big trucks and motorcycles and horsepower and stuff like that as well. So I don't know, there could be an extra emphasis on loud distracting noises as a result of like traffic commotion or I don't know, who knows, but, you know, don't be surprised if things are just kind of loud and a bit irritating over the course of this next couple of days or as this energy plays out this week. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That's my full moon interpretation. We're going to get one final card now. This is a synchronicity card. This is going to be a piece of advice from God, Great Spirit, universe, however you connect to the life-giving force in our reality. This is where this message is coming from. I am asking for a piece of advice. What should we keep in mind as we move through our full moon this week? And our message for today, you guys, says rest, relax, and believe. Which, Taurus full moon, that Venus-Jupiter square as well, I feel like this is right on point. Like I was saying, indulging the senses somehow, not over the top, not in excess, maybe less indulging and more so engaging the senses, but definitely I feel like that's a good way to go. This card says, he feedeth among the lilies until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. Song of Solomon 2:16 through 17. Take refuge among the lilies of God and heaven and dwell upon the concepts of joy, harmony, peace, beauty, and divine law and order. All your plans, journeys, and undertakings will prosper. Continue in this abiding trust and faith in God until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. So again, you guys, this is the time to let go of the worry, okay? Surrender the doubt and really just like allow yourself to cultivate a sense of trust and faith and belief in God, in universe, in the benevolent forces propelling your life forward. Believe that good things are coming and, you know, just maybe take some time out to like relish in the beauty of your life or your world, even if it's just in small ways throughout the course of the week and while this full moon energy is present. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I would truly appreciate if you would do that. It really helps my channel grow when you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, thank you so much. Share it with your friends if you think that they might enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. Let me know what's going on with you out there. If you are having experiences that align with or reflect what I'm talking about in this video, in any of my videos, drop me a comment, tell me about it, let me know. Other than that, come back with me on Friday, you guys. We have more astrology that we're getting into. We actually are going to have another big video coming up next. We have more impactful astrology that is taking place as we continue to move through the week this week. If you guys caught my Monday video, I was telling you we had a lot of astrology going on, big astrology happening this week. Right after we move through this full moon energy, we are going to have Uranus re-enter Gemini. We've also got Mercury stationing retrograde this weekend. So lots more astrology to talk about this week, and I will be back to do it on Friday. You surely don't want to miss it. So I will see you then. Have a beautiful full moon midpoint of your week this week, you guys. And until next time, bye.